Hey everybody, this is your Digital Super Saiyan 3 back here with another video. And I'm kind of in a Simpsons mood. For as long as The Simpsons has been on the air, they've had a few crossovers here and there. And I've decided I'm going to do a review of all three of them, but giving them their own videos. The first crossover happened all the way back in 1995. During The Simpsons' sixth season. So far, every time I go back to season 6, I've been enjoying each and every episode of it. Would I make season 6 my favorite season of The Simpsons? Well, doesn't matter. Anyway, this crossover came in the episode A Star is Burns, where J. Sherman, the Critic, appears. Yes, this came during the time period that the Critic had been debuting. So, A Star is Burns. When Springfield is facing a pandemic about not getting enough tourist attractions, Marge comes up with an idea during a town meeting to get more tourists by having a film festival. And wanting to make sure this film festival goes successful, she decides to bring in Jay Sherman from New York City by writing him a letter. Yeah, that's right. This was the episode that had Jay Sherman appear in. Now, yes, this episode was also one of Matt Groening's least favorite episodes doing, mainly because he hated the idea of crossovers, and especially this episode. Now, this episode to me wasn't all that bad. I mean, I definitely love the whole film festival edge they gave this whole episode, where the townspeople of Springfield are having their own film festival, and many of the townspeople basically had a lot of different movies. And of course, what I like about this special is how Jay is actually staying with the Simpsons family, and I love the compare and contrast between him and Homer. I love how Jay is so classy and Homer is stupid, because that's kind of Homer's whole character. But, I love the whole difference between them, which makes this an interesting episode to me. And I love how Homer gets included on the jury for the film festival when Marge puts him on the film festival jury. And it's up to Homer to make, the toughest decision possible to see which film would actually win in the jury. Mr. Burns, who's also one of the antagonists, who's basically the antagonist of the episode, basically brings in the Mexican equivalent to Steven Spielberg called Senor Spielbergo. Yeah, the Mexican equivalent to Steven Spielberg, since he is not able to get the real Steven Spielberg, so he gets a Mexican equivalent. And Burns ends up making a movie to glorify himself by, get this, by basically having a bunch of scenes mashed together from different Spielberg movies to basically show how much of a good Samaritan he is. Even though Burns always has a natural supervillain look to him and always will look like a supervillain. But the other townspeople who entered their movies into this film festival are Barney Gumble, the town drunk, Mo Sislak, the bartender, Apu, the store clerk who runs the Quickie Mart, and Hans Moleman, and even Ned Flanders even entered a movie where he's making a Moses movie. Yeah, because he's religious. All in all, I think this is a very fine crossover and a very good episode. I don't think it is a bad episode, and it's definitely a very subtle one, especially how Homer has to put his stupidity aside about a man getting hit in the balls with a football to basically picking the right movie to win. Burns, however, decides to try to decides to bribe two members of the jury, which is Krusty the Clown and Mayor Quimby. Since Marge made them members of the jury, and because the mayor and Krusty are just so easy to corrupt. Because they are pretty corrupt guys. But in the end, Barney's film ends up winning, and I'm glad Barney ends up getting it, and he gets a beer truck full of Duff, which he wanted injected into his arm. 'Cause, yeah, we all know Barney is a drunk. And then, at the airport, the Simpsons family basically go to see off Jay. Final thoughts. A Star as Burns is definitely a good crossover, and yes, I know it was technically used to promote The Critic, because The Critic was debuting the same time that this episode aired. And yes, Matt Groening himself, like I said, hated doing this episode because he hated the idea that his show was being used to promote another show. But let's talk about Jay Sherman as an example. Jay Sherman, The Critic. I gotta say, John Lovitz definitely put his all into the character. And I love the scene where he is singing the Oscar Mayer Wiener song with the Simpsons kids, with Bart and Lisa. So, all in all, this was a great episode. And I love the fact that it also made fun of tropes that film festivals usually do. Anyway, this has been your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I'll see you guys next time for Simpsons Guy, the Family Guy Simpsons crossover I'm going to do next. See ya!